All right, guys, I'm here outside of the Lincoln Memorial for the Rage Against the War Machine rally. I have my first interview. Come on, Dan. Dan Cohen is here. Dan, tell everybody why you decided to come out.
Well, a number of reasons. I mean, it's important for all of us just to denounce the war that the U.S. is waging against Russia that imperils the entire world. I mean, we're talking about the possibility of mutually assured destruction through nuclear weapons, through hypersonic weapons, which no matter where you stand politically, what your political stripe is, that threatens. I mean, we're looking at human extinction, possibly. There's no, I mean, you cannot overstate the danger. So that's first of all. Secondly, one of the aspects that people don't really understand, I think, just hasn't gotten enough attention, is that Ukraine is a laboratory for what they're calling digital transformation, meaning your life controlled through your smartphone, digital IDs and central bank digital currencies. So say you participate in some kind of protest that the government doesn't like this today, or you watch a video on YouTube or Rumble that they don't like, well, suddenly you can be cut off from your bank account and you are no longer allowed to participate in society. It's basically thought crime. This is being rolled out in Ukraine. This is the laboratory for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So you can watch. Okay, so thanks a lot, Sabrina. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Dan. Garland, you want to say hi to everybody?
Yes.
I don't know if they can see. Can they see you?
Hi, Garland Nixon here, and thanks for everybody for joining us online. We've had a lot of social influencers, such as the great Sabs here, and we're having a good time. It's wonderful, positive energy, and a great anti-war environment.
Awesome. Thanks, Garland.
Thank you.
Wyatt,
Hey.
you want to say hello to everyone?
Hello. How's it going, everybody? Oh, look. Wow, you got some good numbers here. People are interested in what's happening, huh?
It was higher earlier, and then I started walking, and people disappeared. I understand.
Well, we're not disappearing. We're not going anywhere. We're going all the way to the White House.
Awesome. So you came all the way from Russia?
I came. Actually, I've been back in the country for a couple months now.
Oh, okay.
I came back for Christmas.
Okay.
But I was there in September and October, and yeah, I mean, I was in the Donbass for a while. Saw some incredible things. It's really a nightmare what's being done over there in the name of democracy. I mean, they're just entire cities are getting leveled, and hundreds of thousands probably of Ukrainian men are being turned into meat, basically, by advanced. I mean, it really is. It's industrial murder what's happening there. It's hard to describe it, really. So it's, you know, in the one sense, it's good to be back here in the U.S. around so many people who are understanding that reality, that aren't fooled by the kind of mainstream media narrative. And it is surreal, though, also to go from that back to just normal life, right? It's
back here, yeah.
It's strange to know what's happening in our name.
You have to remind me, wasn't it like either the hotel or apartment you were staying in?
Yeah, my hotel. I was just telling this guy here, my hotel is the Donbass Palace, and it was struck by an artillery shell a couple hours after I arrived in the city.
That's right.
And I was about 100 meters away, and it was blown up directly in front of me.
It's terrible. Terrible.
Oh. Yes. No, it was awful. Sorry, I was.
What is that? Yeah, I'm looking at it too.
That's steam. I thought it was smoke.
I thought it was too.
I thought it was smoke. I thought somebody had lit something on fire. And I thought it was like some kind of provocation. Yeah.
I was like, it has begun.
Yeah, right.
Already. All right, Wyatt, thanks so much.
No, I apologize for being a little distracted, but thanks for having me.
Awesome. But I am here with Dr. Jill Stein. Jill, why did you come out today?
We have a state of emergency, and we are all in the target hairs.
I totally hear you. How many people do you think came out today? I was in this space, so it was kind of hard for me to tell.
It looked like it could have been, you know, somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000, maybe on the upper end.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it was a good-sized crowd, and it was really very collegial and a lot of solidarity. And it really drove home to me how people's politics is fluid. You know, Trump supporters become Bernie Sanders supporters, and Sanders supporters become Trump supporters. And so much is responding to this terrible, you know, circumstances around us. But what doesn't change is the 1% versus the rest of us. And today was sort of like proof of principle that we need to not let their game divide us and conquer us, and we need to be all about the power that we have and the power of the people to create a world that works for all of us.
Awesome. Jill, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sabby. Thank you for being here.
All righty. Quick interview.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to come out today?
Because I personally believe that regardless of what people think about the rally, I think it's important that, and I've said this, we're not going to necessarily talk about this in like a month,
Right.
but what we choose to do from here, the people who are here, what they choose to do, that's the most important thing. And I really hope that people being here are able to take this and figure out how to organize in terms of how to talk more about this issue and other issues that we care about locally and statewide. Because we can't always get together like this in DC. I think is good, but where the energy is going to come from is locally. So that's where the energy needs to go. So, and I can't talk about people, you know, talking about doing things on a local level if I'm not necessarily promoting that myself. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Awesome. How do you feel about some of the criticisms that have come out beforehand?
I think, again, a lot of them are valid. And I don't want to mischaracterize people who do have concerns. I think there are valid concerns that we need to have. But again, at the end of the day, I'm not here for the speakers. You know, I'm here for the idea of showing solidarity in terms of this is an issue that needs to be talked about more seriously in terms of we're heading into potentially a proxy war with Russia and to a lesser degree right now, but probably more evident China. And we're talking about this while people in Ohio are suffering right now. And, you know, so the criticism I think is valid and that should be addressed, but that shouldn't take away from the idea that we should be standing in terms of what both parties are doing, sending our money overseas where we need to have that attention here as well.
Right. Yeah, look at what's happening with East Palestine, Ohio, right?
Right. And Biden has yet to go over there to do his thing there. So, but yeah, so that's really why I'm here. It's more of a matter of the fact that I've been to many rallies since living in DC. I didn't agree with a lot of things that are happening. You know, I didn't necessarily agree with speakers. I didn't necessarily agree with content, but I still went, you know, in solidarity. A lot of people might remember I went at the Capitol with the OC, Cori Bush,
eviction moratorium.
The eviction moratorium thing. Didn't particularly want to go. I still went, and then I ended up having that viral moment, you know. So, but I think it's more important to kind of talk to people who are here as to what are next steps. And I'm not necessarily hearing that conversation, at least right now. But I think the idea is that once the people leave after tonight, what should we be doing moving forward? I think those are the conversations that we should be having versus, oh, I don't like this person speaking, or this person is not anti-war. Again, it's not about the speakers, it's about the people who are here who have this concern, regardless if you're on left or right.
Yeah, I think a big part of, I know Medea did say in passing that then, at least on her end, the next step is they're having a meeting about what to do legislatively to try to fight against that, which is really good. But I think it's very important what you just said, that like a lot of times, like we do have like multiple events and things like that. I mean, you've been to a lot of these things. Like I've been to a lot of these things, and oftentimes, you know, it's great to get people to come out, but then we also ask like, okay, what's the next step?
Right. I always ask that.
Right.
And, you know, again, this is fine, but what will take place after this? And I feel that those discussions are not necessarily being had in terms of people saying, oh, this person's not anti-war, I don't like this particular person speaking, you know, it's full of right-wingers or whatever else. You know, as I say, you know, on iHeart News, it's not a matter of what you're against, what you're for. If you're for anti-war, be about it, and let's have the discussion as to how can more of these actions happen? How can more organization around this happen? And I'm more than willing to ally with people who are willing to have that conversation. But
Yeah.
but and I'll say this, you know, and not to call it us on the left, but you know, who on the left can pull this out? You know, I'm sorry, and I'm going to say it. You know, it was somewhat well organized. There's a big crowd here, and say what you want, but there's a decent turnout here. And you can argue there's a lot of people on the right here. So far for me, I haven't had any issues. But on the left, we're kind of bickering at each other, and I feel like collectively, if we're able to, we can pull out something like this too. But I don't know. Like, so I think this is something that we have to consider more in terms of what are we doing on the left that we can at least try to attempt something like this. If not, we should be doing better than this.
This is the biggest one I've been to.
Yeah.
I mean, since like
George Floyd for me.
George Floyd, yeah, that's the biggest one I've been to.
Yeah. So I mean, we should, you know, we should have had something like this already. You know, and again, say whatever you want about the people who are organizing, but they had a lane because no one else was doing it. So they had a right to take that lane. So, and I know now there are some smaller anti-war rallies that will be happening in March. I know Copic is having one in March. I will be going to that. You know, but again, it's like, what's the move from here that people can organize around to ensure that the message of anti-war has more prevalent voice versus what we're hearing from our politicians?
No, I agree. Yeah. We should have had something.
Right.
It's frustrating to me when I see like all the time, like Denmark, countries like Denmark,
Right.
UK, like having like 50,000 people out in the street having protests, and it's like a struggle for me to just get like 50 people to come out.
Right. So again, I think George Floyd was, I wouldn't say it was unique. It was mostly because of Trump, you know, and we were under lockdown and we had nothing else to do. So I think those were, I wouldn't say unique, but I think given the consideration of the pandemic, it was a unique situation where people were just tired anyway and were just really wanting to do something that that we came out, like, and I was here, like so many people were here over the course of a couple of weeks, you know, protesting. I haven't seen that energy since then, other than when Biden won the presidency. So where's that energy that we had for Trump that we should be having for Biden? You know, so
We didn't have as large of a turnout for like Tyler Nichols compared.
right. So, you know, so I think the idea of, as I say, people are willing to be more militant when there's a Republican in office, but then when it's a Democrat, then it's like pulling teeth. But I think even on the left, we should be better than this. You know, we should be the ones that are making these moves, and not even to say that's necessarily. It should be the part of independent media that we have a hand in that, but we all are collectively a part of different organizations. We should be able to kind of gather and kind of rally, and be able to pull off something like this. And right now, there's a lot of infighting among us that we can't even agree in terms of what is necessary in order to do something like this, which I think it's sad that we have to, that's basically come down to this. But I hope this is encouragement for those of you who are watching that you are needed. And the idea of being anti-war is not going to go away anytime soon. So I hope that this is a way for us to kind of have that conversation more seriously in terms of what we should be doing and how we can organize ourselves so that more of these actions can happen, more organization can happen, and that this could be potentially a national movement for anti-war.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Colin.
Thank you.